Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld. In the previous episode, I messed up. I tried to transfer the Megatrain station from its old location to a new location on a new station array that I'm building to sort of, I guess, maybe eventually replace the old one or just become a new branch of it or whatever. But yes, as you may remember, I messed that up quite badly because what I did was instead of cutting and pasting, I copied and pasted, essentially, using blueprints, and what that led to was the entire factory trying to make a bunch of extra everything. It tried to fill the new one without emptying the old one, and we've now got a bunch of random extra materials, basically anything that the Megatrain would ever be loaded with, just in storage chests, and I'm trying to fix it. So that was what I was doing at the end of last episode, and I do a little bit more of it at the beginning of this one. I'm just trying to sort of damage control as much as possible, because as it currently stands, the factory is still sort of winding down. There are still a couple of bits of production ongoing, so I can still sort of fix things by getting stuff done now. There are still parts of the factory that are trying to make stuff like rockets there, and so I can just stop that by putting the rockets that have ended up just in a storage chest back into the system to try and prevent any more random extra usage of materials. But mostly it's all sort of stopped now. There's a couple of bits still going. There's still a lot of basic production like circuits and things like that that are going a bit crazy, just refilling the system after everything got used up. Everything went completely crazy. We had so much going on that we ran out of power multiple times and things like that. But yeah, now we've got a bunch of extra stuff, so the factory should have one of its quietest times ever coming up with all this random extra material we have. None of the assemblers will ever need to actually switch on. They'll just already have all the stuff ready. Because what I'm sort of doing to try and fix it is putting everything into the outputs of the production chests. And then if there's any chests that use the materials... I keep calling them chests. Anyway, yeah, so assemblers. I do practice runs of these videos. I never really mentioned this, but I'll do a practice run so I know what I'm doing and know what's going on. And I was calling them chests then as well, and apparently I haven't got out of that. But yes, the assemblers, I put things into the outputs of the assemblers that make them, and then if there's assemblers that use them, I can put them into the inputs of those to just try and get it out of the chest and get it back where it needs to be. If I am requesting anything, it will come from the storage chest first anyway, but it sort of helps with general production and stuff to get it all sorted. And also it's annoying to have so many storage chests full of random gubbins that it's going to take a very, very long time to use. I end up managing to bomb my own factory there. I was trying to put some grenades into a grenade assembler, and I pressed the wrong key and just threw it at the assembler instead. So there was a little bit of an explosion. Everything got cleared up by the bots, so nothing actually got completely destroyed, just damaged a fair bit. But yeah, I'm having to sort of put a lot of things in like the red slots of assemblers and things like that, and that's sort of like the backup if nothing else is working. So like the tank shells are one of the bad ones because I only have like one slot of storage in the chest that is actually open, whereas there are like 5 slots in the loading area for the Megatrain that are all the assembler tried to fill. So there's a bunch more stacks of tank shells than I'm supposed to have the space for. Also, funnily enough, there I managed to find an assembler that didn't have any modules in it. There was it was the radar assembler, which is a relatively recent one, so perhaps I just forgot when I was putting it in, but there was just that random assembler that I'd forgotten to put modules into. I think there's a couple of other ones around the place that I noticed, because usually I don't pay that much attention to the assemblers, but with me having to run around and actually put stuff into them, I'm starting to notice when they're missing the modules a little bit, which is good because modules are also something we've got a bunch of extra ones made of now. So yeah, the random ones with modules missing. So it's helped in a certain way. It's made sure that in future there will be a little less power usage from the factory going crazy for whatever reason. But yeah, so the chests. So I'm limiting them a lot, and that's something that people have mentioned before. It seems like a good time to mention it. So what I always do with my chests is I limit them to a certain number of stacks for the outputs of assemblers. So only a certain amount of the material can be built before there's no room for it to go. And people have asked me why I do that, why I don't just open them up and allow the chest to be filled. And it's a good question. It sort of comes from me trying to stop the factory doing unnecessary production. So like my pump jack storage chest is limited to 1 stack, because I'm never going to need more than 1 stack of pump jacks at once. I haven't built any in a long time now. I just put a bunch of productivity or speed modules or whatever into the oil system because I just couldn't be bothered setting up another oil train. But even if I was, I'd probably never need more than a stack of pump jacks at once. And if I did, I could probably just put in what was there and then wait a while for the next ones to come along without worrying about there not being enough oil, because 1 stack is plenty. So I don't need there to be any more slots of that filled up. Anyway, let's go back to what's happening in the game for a moment, because something weird has happened with the signals. They've all stopped. All the trains are stuck on signals that are orange, which is a little bit weird because I don't think there should ever be a stopped train at an orange signal. If I remember rightly, and I really should after all this time, an orange signal means that a train is approaching at a speed that means it couldn't stop in time to... it couldn't stop before the signal. It's basically travelling so fast that even if it braked up as much as it could, it would still cross over the signal, meaning that no other train should enter the block until that has happened. So basically it's a way of stopping trains with too much momentum from entering blocks they shouldn't and crashing into each other. But for some reason, a bunch of them just turned orange with trains parked at them, and a bunch of trains ended up getting just backed up, sitting around not being able to do anything. So I went round and just replaced them all with new signals, and then it all worked again. So that was a little bit weird, something to do with the update. And another thing that we've had with the update is something going wrong with blueprints. And I should mention that this is not actually the latest update of Factorio. I actually recorded this episode before I had my little break of a very long time. So this was back in 0.12. I believe 31. Whatever update it is, it'll be in the description, as it always is in these videos. So at that particular time, there was some weirdness going on with blueprints. I think it had even been something that had happened 2 updates ago or something. I think the previous update had caused them to break, and then they tried to fix it in this update, but for whatever reason it didn't work, or it only partially worked. But I tried to use my my concrete blueprint, and it wasn't the same anymore. It was previously a 10x10 square. I think it had changed into a 9x9 square, or maybe an 8x8, I'm not sure. But there was weird overlapping going on in the middle where it was sort of a deeper colour because it was representing 2 concrete tiles on top of each other. When I actually used the blueprints, that didn't happen because it can't. So whether the bots tried or not, they wouldn't be able to do it. There's another set of assemblers where I've just forgotten to put modules in those, and that one I think has been around for a long time. Maybe it's a similar amount of time to the radars, but it's definitely been far too long for me not to notice that that's the case. I think I may have even noticed that in at a different time when I think I noticed that at the very beginning of 0.12, because I made my 0.12 update video in this save, and I think I noticed that the modules were missing there, put them back in, but I then reset the save and continued from before then, because the video, that was sort of a separate thing, and it would have sort of messed up the series. So I think I've actually fixed that before, and then forgotten that it needed fixing, and not actually put them in the second time round until now, when we're about to see 0.13. But yes, the blueprints thing. So for whatever reason, there's some weird overlapping going on with it. I believe it's now been fixed, but it was just weird back when I recorded this. And it worked fine. I could just place it normally, but it was also weird in that if I tried to rotate it, it went weirder. It just shrunk to a 9x9. There was just an overlapping in a sort of along the mid-line, which was something to do with them, I think, just shifting how they work from... It was either from shifting them from being based on a tile to being based on an intersection between tiles, or the other way round, and some weirdness happened with that. But yeah, it changed like that, but weirdly, when I rotated it, the areas that were overlapped moved, and bits started to stick out. It started to get closer to being a 10x10, though only by a couple of tiles. So that was very weird. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it doesn't matter now, it's all come back to normal. And I think, I tried to remake the blueprint, and it just came out wrong again, which was odd, but I imagine it's all normal now. Maybe I'll have to remake them, but it's not that much of a problem. It is just a 10x10 grid of concrete, and there's plenty of that around anyway. I've just used that everywhere already, and it wouldn't take that long to recreate anyway. Maybe it might have affected my other ones, but I didn't even look at my other ones. I guess I was slightly worried that if I actually brought out another blueprint, it would update it and make it weird. and then it might not work again. So I didn't actually access any of those during this update, but it would have been interesting to see what happened to them, because like with a 10 by 10 grid it keeps things fairly simple, but when it's a whole array of like requester chests or bits of rails or walls or whatever, lots of weird stuff could have happened there. I should have had a look at that and seen what rotating did in that case. It might have just made like them squish up a bit in the middle again, but then the rotating would have done some stranger things. Anyway, speaking again of some weird bugs with this update, there was some more signal trouble by the circuit outpost. So there were basically, as far as I can see, two locations where it went wrong. One of them was sort of in the new station area, causing a problem for the sort of the most important loop in the system. Actually, the one that sort of connects the main station and the circuit station to like the oil outpost and like everything around the lake, pretty much. And a bunch of, well, actually, there aren't any outposts really to the north anymore. They've all run out, apart from one oil outpost that's barely doing anything. There seemed to be something wrong with the oil, but I went over and, as far as I remember, it seemed to be fine. I think it was just that it wasn't moving because it didn't need to, because there was already plenty of plastic and stuff like that filling up the system. And it ended up that the unloading area for the oil trains was just full of barrels that couldn't be unloaded because there wasn't any room for their oil or anything like that, which meant that the trains didn't have any barrels in, which is I think why I thought it had all gone wrong. Anyway, I've gone out to the southern sort of wilderness of the main factory, inside radar range, but sort of towards the edge of it, to deal with some of the biters. I dealt with them recently over in the west, but I think I ran out of destroyer drones or whatever, so I've now got a fresh batch ready to clear this all out again and keep the factory safe for many episodes more. It should be a good while before we have to come back again. It's just the sheer distance they have to travel. It means that once I've cleared them out, it's a very long time before they come back again. So that shall be fine. We'd be able to just wander off for a good long while without having to worry about the main base once again. And there is some work I'm considering on doing with a new outpost fairly soon. There's an idea I've had for a while, though it is sort of perhaps messed up by the fact that 0.13 is now very imminent. It could come as soon as tomorrow. We're not really sure yet. It depends on basically when it's ready, is what it comes down to. But yes, it's going to be very soon now, which is sort of not what my plan was. When I recorded this, it was still, I think, over a month before the scheduled time for 0.13 to come out, but then I had my break and it went on longer than expected, so it's ended up being a very long time between episodes. And in the last episode I was setting up the new station, and I was setting it up based on the old train lengths, or well, the current train lengths as it is, and I knew that there would be new ones and that it would probably mean that I'd have to change something, but considering at the time that it was like a month and a half before the update was likely to come out, I thought it would be fine. I'd just do that and then I'd have plenty of episodes with it like that before the time came where it might need changing. But now suddenly the update is practically, it's coming very soon. No idea exactly how soon, but we'll see soon enough. It may even be the next episode. In fact, it's fairly likely that the next episode will be in 0.13. So that's sort of messed things up in a way, but in another way it's helped, because I was going to do more work on the station that would potentially need to be changed later in probably the next episode or whatever. But now that the update is so close, it'll come out and then I can do that work knowing how long the trains will be. So in a certain way, it has removed work. Really, I should have just waited till it came out and then set up the new station then, but I sort of wanted to get it done and get things set up beforehand. So yeah, that's all sort of in place. There's not any jobs for the trains yet. It's just storing the Megatrain and it's ready to have all its jobs, but we might just transition over the current trains that we have and do it like that. But anyway, with 0.13 coming up, let's talk about what we know, because there've been quite a few Factorio Friday facts since my last episode. So there's a lot of things to talk about, like there was the loader. I don't remember. I think I talked about the loader a bit, maybe even in the last episode, which was an idea of sort of like a splitter-like thing, just a belt structure that was designed to load and unload chests. So it would empty a chest at the speed of a belt, or load a chest at the speed of a belt, and allow you to much quicker transition from storage vessels to belts and so on. And that's sort of evolved, and it's turned into the idea of, I forget what they're currently called, it's like stack inserters or something like that, I think is their current name, and I believe they are purple, which is interesting because there was a purple inserter design literally over 2 years ago at this point that was called the filter inserter, and I don't know if that was separate from the smart inserter or what. This is actually before my time, and not many things in Factorio are, so yeah, there was basically an extra inserter, I think, on top of the smart inserter, and it was called the filter inserter, and the smart inserter might have not been a filter inserter like it basically is, but for whatever reason that was a thing, and then the purple one was removed, but now a purple one is coming back in the form of the stack inserter, and also there appear to be variants of them. So, like, I think there are stack smart inserters and things like that. That's what I could see. There has been, like, that was in a particular screenshot, which also showed some new flooring, and someone has mentioned that the flooring appears to be from a mod, though, so it could be that the stack inserter we've seen is actually from a mod, and that the stack inserter they're working on is actually a different thing. I don't really know. We'll find out. It's confusing. But yeah, it looks like they're doing, like, something that we've seen in various mods, like Bob's mods and things like that, where there are, like, inserters with multiple properties, but maybe they're just playing mods while they're making their screenshots of new features, which is interesting, but we'll all find out about that soon enough. One thing that is definitely in the new update is fire. Things can now set on fire, like trees and stuff like that. So we had flamethrowers before. I've never really used them. I just used the shotgun, it works fine. But now the flamethrower actually sets the enemies on fire, and I guess they burn over time. And it also sets the ground on fire and trees. So I think you can now get forest fires, maybe. I think the fire can spread. So it'll be interesting to see just how much it can spread. Because there are some options for what the developers can do with that. They can make it so that a couple of other trees will set on fire and then the thing will just die out. Or it could be that if you set one tree in a forest on fire, then you might as well say goodbye to that forest. It's all going to burn. It's all going to go. So that'll be cool. It might be similar to how we had fire back in the Minecraft days. Fire got implemented, and initially, if something set on fire, the whole forest was gone. And then they changed it so that it was weak enough that it was very unlikely a forest fire could properly develop. It would probably just burn out after a short amount of time, because horrific forest fires were destroying entire forests and burning people's houses down and stuff like that, just from random, like, lightning could strike, and if it struck just as a storm was about to end and the rain was about to go away, you could end up with just... you'd wander off and come back and the forest would be gone. That could be a cool thing in Factorio that could be annoying on account of the fact that trees can't regrow, and trees are important to keeping the biters off you. They absorb huge amounts of pollution, and while it wouldn't be too much of a problem if huge forests burned down in this particular save, if it happened in towns, that could be a death sentence. The biters are already very angry with me in Factorio towns, and if I were to lose my forests on the I've forgotten my compass directions, on the east side of the map, then there'd be a whole lot more biters coming in from there. We're having enough trouble with the desert as it is. So yeah, that could be interesting. But yes, I was going to talk about more stuff, but we're actually coming towards the end of the episode, and as you can see, I'm in the Megatrain, and I've taken it up to Iron Outpost 2 and off around the lake. Yes, my plan has sort of gone a bit wrong here, because I was going to go and build a new outpost, but if 0.13 is going to be here by the time I do my next episode, then I may just run straight back, probably even leave the Megatrain there, and have some fun with 0.13 stuff before coming back and working on what this outpost will be doing. But this is something I've had an idea about for a while, and I think it's about time we got on with it. And yeah, the Megatrain is perfect for this. We're going to go and build a brand new outpost with a bunch of stuff going on. I'm still sort of working out the details of it, and exactly what, like, I know what's going to ultimately be produced here, but I can't decide how much of it will be. I could make it from scratch, or I could just bring in the intermediate components from the main base and just do the sort of final stage of production. I will decide that when the time comes, whenever it should come. In the meantime, this is the spot I've chosen. It's sort of the southernmost point of the northern part of the rails, where there's this sort of dip in the north, and I've decided to sort of sit myself in the sort of furthest out into the lake point of this area. It's a bit of a headland or whatever, or possibly, like the bits towards the end, you could potentially call them a cape. And so what we decided to do is call this place Cape Kerbal, and that should give you a decent clue as to what this outpost is going to be about. But that is all we have time for today, so I shall say goodbye, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.